Hello, nature lovers. Do you love to read books like I do? I've always enjoyed reading books ever since I was a kid, especially books about nature. Unfortunately, as I get older, I find myself with less and less time to sit down with a good book. I've solved that problem with Audible. Audible allows you to listen to your favorite titles while you are driving, at the gym, taking a walk, wherever you are. With all the latest titles, you'll have quite a selection to choose from. And they have podcasts too. Start listening today with a free 30-day trial. To get your free 30-day trial, go to the show notes and click on the link. Happy listening. Hello friends and welcome. My name's Paul and this is the Nature Wanderer podcast. Today we're out in the wilds of my backyard again and we're doing a short hike around the edge of my property, the upper edge of my property. I have 24, I can never remember, 20 some bird houses on my property, and today I'm going out to see what birds are occupying them. As I'm headed up to my very first birdhouse, it's right near some power lines on the front of my property, and I have a bluebird sitting overhead. Oh, he just flew off. So a bluebird up on the power lines, which is a good sign. It usually means that they might be nesting in the boxes. So I am doing a program that is part of citizen science. Now I know in past episodes I've explained, both box 1 and 2 are empty. I've explained what citizen science is, but just to sum it up, citizen science is where everyday average citizens like you and I are out helping the scientists. They can't be everywhere, so we're out helping them to collect data that they can use. Now, how are they going to use it if we're collecting it? Well, we have to enter it into our computers or cell phones or wherever. It goes into a database, a central database somewhere. And while it's in that database, it gets combined with everyone else's data, and the scientists can access it to do whatever research they need. And you're going to hear some crunching, actually up in my unmowed field. Lots of honeysuckle through here. The birds love it. I am at box number 3, and I'm opening and checking it. And that one's empty as well. And box 4 has a nest in it. And sure enough, I'm going to grab my phone to take a picture. We have 5 bluebird eggs in here, which is kind of exciting. Bluebirds, if you don't know, are the state bird of New York State. It's exciting to have some eggs in here. We usually have a couple of our boxes. I say we, my wife and I, we have a couple of boxes that we always get bluebirds in every year. And I have a nest in box 5 and nothing's in it, which is good. Someone was building. Looks like nothing in box 6. Looks like a bluebird nest. Now, as I'm going along here, let me explain what I'm doing. I'm participating in a program that's called NestWatch. Now, you don't need to have nest boxes on your property to participate. I actually record not just what's in my nest boxes, but I record what other nests I see on my property. Like I said, I got a lot of honeysuckle here, and it's nice in the springtime because the leaves aren't out on the honeysuckle yet and you can actually see where the nests are. And of course I watch the birds and I kind of see where they're going. Sometimes the birds are headed into a bush, they're carrying nesting material in their mouth. So you got to be observant and you watch where they're going. I have found nests in my sugar shanty before. I have found nests in the rafters of my Airbnb. I have found them, up on my porch sometimes. They build nests. Those I remove quickly before they actually nest in them because I don't want them making a mess on my porch. So, these birds are being observed, and that way I can tell where they are going. So always watch the birds, see where they are, if they're carrying nesting material, and if they are, where they're headed. And that will tell you, where there's a possible nest out there. Also watch their activity. When I'm walking along my back driveway or one of my trails, sometimes I will see, a bird sitting on top of one of the boxes. I'll see a bluebird hanging out on one of the boxes. Usually tells me that they're nesting somewhere nearby. Like I was telling you, I saw the bluebird up on the power line, and I knew it's like, well, usually when they're sitting up there, they're nesting in one of these boxes, and sure enough, I found those eggs in that box, which is pretty cool. So I had 5 bluebird eggs. They're already started. Also, when I'm walking along my back trail, which runs along the bluebird boxes, I get a lot of tree swallows. And they take over some of the boxes. When they start attacking me, dive bombing me, or dive bombing my dog, what happens is that's telling me that they're being protective. They're being territorial. So they probably have a nest in one of the boxes there. Now, once I find a nest, I will record it. There is an app. You can do this online too, but luckily, this is a citizen science project where it's put on by Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and they did a great job on their app. It's really user-friendly. So I go to my cell phone, which is what I'm going to do now because I haven't recorded those 5 bluebird eggs. I try not to do it at the nest because there's eggs in there. I want to just check it, get out of there right away so that mom and or dad can come back to the nest and sit on those eggs, keep them warm. I check it, I get out of there, and I'll talk a little bit about protocol in a minute and ethics. But right now I want to talk a little bit about the app. So I'm far enough away from that nest that I can now record it. So I went to my cell phone, my smartphone, and I opened up the NestWatch app, and you can download it. It's free of charge. Opens up right away to my home screen, and it says add a nest visit. Now I have all my nest boxes labeled. They're BB1, BB2, so that was BB3. So BB for bluebird box. So the bluebirds. And I can see, last year there was a house wren that took over this box. So it gives me last year's data too. Now I click on start attempt. Use current date and time. This is what I mean. It's really easy. Everything's right there for me. Nest species, BLUE, BIR. The eastern bluebird comes up. I click on that. And I go down. Number of eggs. Put in 5. Live young 0. Dead young 0. Those are more for a little bit later in the season when they start hatching. First egg laid date, I don't know. So I'm going to leave that blank. Hatch date, I leave blank. Fledge date, hasn't happened yet. And then nest status. Now I don't go through all this every single time. Okay, after I know there's eggs in the nest and I check it every once in a while, and then I just come along and I just put in how many eggs were in there. I have my trusty companion Rivia with me. That's all the crunching you hear down below my feet. So nest status, it's a completed nest in there. They want to know whether it's an incomplete nest, completed. Adult status, I did see that bluebird up there, so I'm going to put remained in vicinity because I was nearby. No young present under young status. And all of these are checks, so you just click on the checkbox. Management activity, no management activity. Now, with management activity, there's nest box maintenance, management, which I do that early spring, so I don't have to do it while the birds are in there. Every once in a while, I have a door that breaks, and I'll have to maintain it when there's a nest in there. I hate doing that because I do it as quick as possible, get out of there. I don't want to disturb the birds. Avian competitor, nest eggs removed. Unhatched eggs removed, pest management, banded adults, or young at nest. So all of these are options that you can put in there. Predator guard, there's none. And like I said, this is a one-time thing. You can add a photo to your visit. And I took the photo, so I am going to add that photo. Go down a little bit further, it says visit notes. I don't really have anything, but if you want to put notes in there, you can. And then you just go to the very bottom and submit. You're done. Yep. And it just showed that it recorded it. So now it says under WSBB3, April 26th to 2023. Now it says under BB3 for that nest box, 5 eggs. 0 live young, 0 dead young. Nest status is completed nest. And that's it. Now I can go on to the next nest box. And we'll see what's in here. There's nothing in 7. I know I've seen the tree swallows flying around. So they're starting. Nothing in 8. Usually I get further back. Towards the back of my property away from the road, I tend to get more birds. The bluebirds usually take over a couple of different nests. Like I said, I usually get at least 2 pair nesting each year, and they usually double nest too. So after they've raised their young, they've gone off and fledged, then they'll create another nest. Now, right now what I'm doing is I'm walking up behind the boxes, nothing in 9. Oh, we have a nest here in box 10, and it looks like tree swallow. So they are starting, but there's no eggs in there. I can record the nest if I want to, but I usually wait till there's eggs in the box before I start making recordings on it. So there is a protocol to all this. You don't want to disturb the birds. I mean, if you're there constantly checking that nest box, what's going to happen? Mom and dad are going to be like, whoa, what's going on here? This large animal keeps coming up and bothering my nest box, my children, my eggs. It's like, I'm either going to defend it by attacking them, and trust me, the tree swallows will, or they are going to abandon the nest. So that's why you don't want to disturb the nest too much. And there's different techniques to do that. One thing that I always do is I take a different path to the boxes. So if like today I'm coming up from behind, okay, nothing in 11. I come up from behind the boxes and I check them. Oh, we got a tree swallow nest in 12. So no eggs, so I won't mark that yet. Bluebirds are usually the first ones. Then I'll go on to the next box. Like I said, I spend very little time at the box, just check them real quick, get a picture if I need to or want to, and then I move on to the next box. Now the next time I come out to check the boxes, I'll come in from the front. I rarely use the same path to the boxes. The reason is because then you're beating down a path to that box. And predators will use that path up to your box. Now, if you have your box in the middle of a mowed field, it's not a big deal, because you're going to, have the same path. But my boxes are in tall grass, there's bushes around them. When I'm coming up to these boxes, I'm actually beating down the grass with my big boots, and so I want to take different paths when I come up to them each time. My lucky 13. Oh, there's nothing in it. At least there's no tree swallows in it. I call it my lucky 13 because it's almost every year the bluebirds nest in box 13. So they seem to like that box for some reason. Nothing in 14 either. Now, it's a little bit early. Okay, I'm doing this a little bit early, but I like to start this early because that's usually when I find the bluebird boxes, or nests, I should say. This is usually when I find the bluebird nests. So that's why I start a little bit earlier. I have also been noticing the robins flying around carrying nesting material in their mouths. So another thing you want to do is if you come up to a box that you have birds in it, there's a nest in there, you don't want to suddenly just open the box when mom's or dad is in there, or babies. So, and trust me, I've had this happen to me where I've come up to a box, I opened it, my face is right in front of it, and I had a bird fly right into my face. They're in a panic. They want to get out of there. It's funny now. At the time, it's like, oh man, it scared the daylights out of me. A lot of times when I'll come up to a box that I know is occupied, like the next time I check box 4, now that I know there's bluebirds in there, I don't want to disturb mom and dad, so I'll come up to the box and knock on the side while I'm not standing in front. So don't stand in front when you knock on the side, because then they'll come flying right out at you. So I usually knock on the side, just kind of giving them a warning. Hey, I'm here, I'm gonna open the box. I'll also stand off to the side a little bit when I open the box, just so that they don't fly right in my face. Oh, got another tree swallow nest. So far, just one bluebird, but I'm only up to 16 right now. So that's the basic protocol. Another thing, make sure that you check your boxes every 3 to 4 days. You don't want to check them every day because, once again, you don't want to disturb the birds. If you're disturbing the birds by checking them every single day, they could abandon the box, and we don't want that happening. We're trying not to interfere with nature. So that's why I usually check, and it's recommended by Cornell, you check it every 3 to 4 days. You don't want to wait a week. I have before because I've been, out of town or I've been busy, and so I didn't have time to check it every 3 to 4 days. So if you check it every 7 days, you don't know what happened in between that 7 days or 10 days or whatever. You could have had a hatchling in there. You don't know when to hatch, so they want as much information as possible. So they want you to check it every 3 to 4 days. Get another tree swallow nest. I get a lot of tree swallows in my boxes. And I get wrens in my boxes. I've had bluebirds, I've had chickadees. So I do get, a few different species in my bluebird boxes. Yes, I know they're made for the bluebirds, but they don't have a no occupancy sign on them. So whatever birds fit through that hole, they'll go into them. So the basic protocol, once again, check every 3 to 4 days. Make sure you're coming up from behind if you can. Change your route each time that you come up to a box. Make sure that you're not using the same path unless you already have mowed grass. Now, right now, the boxes I'm checking on the back of my property are right in the middle of my trail. So I mow around them. So it's not going to make a difference whether or not, I come at the same direction. So these, I just walk along the path and open them up. And box 21 has nothing in it. Box 22 usually gets wrens in, but I don't see any wren nests. They're usually nesting a little bit later. Okay, and that's all the upper boxes. I'm going to walk a little bit further along the trail here, even though I don't have any more boxes along this trail, because I want to check the trees at the back of the property. I noticed earlier this year, like last week, red-tailed hawks hanging around, circling around the back field behind my property, and every year they nest up in the pines towards the back of my property. I know where the nest is, so I usually get my spotting scope out every once in a while and I check it. Last year they abandoned the nest, unfortunately, because, well, crows and ravens chased them out, which was a shame. After they were chased out and abandoned, I got my drone out and I took it up to the nest and there were eggs in it, which just broke my heart. It's like, oh, those darn crows and ravens. I mean, I love crows, I love ravens, but I'm sorry, you stop harassing the red tails. They're just trying to raise a family. Okay, so I'm taking a look at the nest. Not easily visible. They have it hidden pretty good in the trees, but you get the right angle and you can usually tell. Yep, there's another bird that flew out of the trees, but it looks like it was just a blue jay. So there it is. Okay, now I got a good angle at it. I don't see any heads poking out. I don't see anyone sitting on any branches near there. So we are going to say that that nest is empty right now, and I just saw the blue jay fly from that tree. Well, I hope the blue jays aren't going to use it. That's a little bit big for them. Okay, so I'm going to head down my middle trail now towards the last 4 boxes that I have. I think I said I had 22 through 24. Okay, I have 26 boxes total. But like I said, there's other nests I check. I checked just had 4 blue jays fly out of that tree. So yeah, they're not nesting. Not with 4 of them. Once they have a nest, they get territorial. Most birds do. So I am going to head up and check these last 4 boxes here. And then there's a couple of other spots I want to check on the property because I know there's some actual nests, the cup style nests that the birds make, non-cavity nests. So I want to check those, see if anyone has taken them over. When I find a nest on my property, I leave them. The birds will use them year after year. It takes a lot of energy to build a nest. I don't want them to have to use up all that energy just because I decided I want to throw that nest away. There's no reason to throw it away. The birds will use it. Year after year, as long as the wind or the rain doesn't damage it, they'll reuse that nest. Heading up to this next nest, I'm noticing some birds chasing each other. Yeah, mating rituals are going on right now. The red-winged blackbirds have been hanging around, which is another area I check. They're hard to check because I've got a pond, half-acre pond, and there's cattails all along the one side of the pond. And that's where the red-winged blackbirds always build their nests. Okay, so this is 26, and there's nothing in it. Sometimes the bluebirds will build a nest down here. 25, oh nice. 25 has a nest in it, and let's see if there's any eggs. No eggs. Okay, but definitely a bluebird nest. So I'm not going to record anything today. I don't know, it's just me. Probably superstition or something. I feel that if I start recording it as an empty nest, because I did that one year and it's like no one ever put any eggs in those nests. So I try not to record it till I know there's eggs in there. I want to jinx myself. And I've also had where the bluebirds will build in one box and then they build in the box next to it and they lay their eggs in that one. You know, like a couple days later, like they built the nest and the female probably said, oh, not good enough. Okay, I've got tree swallow nest in that one. No eggs. The tree swallows haven't laid eggs yet, but oh, box might need a little bit of... And the last box to check, number 23, and yep, sure enough, another bluebird nest. And nope, this does not have any eggs in it. Now, another thing you can do. Now, I will remember which boxes have bluebird nests in, so I make sure I'm careful when I approach those next time. You can, if your boxes are a little bit tall for you and you don't want to disturb the nest, because you get into like a wren nest, it's packed with sticks and twigs, and I mean, it's like a nest from hell. Trying to get into that to try to find if there's any eggs in there. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I will just put down unknown. You know, I'll stick my finger in, I'll feel some eggs, and I'll just put down unknown. I don't know how many. Other times I will, you know, kind of pull the nest out a little bit, as long as I'm sure I can get it back in the same way. And I will look in there. Get yourself a mirror. They make these mechanics mirrors, so the mechanic, they extend out. The mechanic can check, you know, in the car engine and parts that, you know, areas where it's hard to see. Well, you can get those fairly inexpensive at an auto parts store. They are great for checking nest boxes if the nest box is up a little bit high. Okay, I'm going to walk along my cattails here and see if I can find any nests. Very difficult to find these nests, and about the only way to check them is if you're in the pond sometimes. Once the cattails start growing, that's really tough. Really tough to, you know, get to the nest and check them out. Oh, I don't know if you heard that. Yep, ravens calling. I know they're nesting somewhere, but I think it's over on my neighbor's property way up in the trees. I have had young orioles coming to my feeders in early summer, so I know that the orioles are nesting in my woods, but I've never found their nests either. So I don't record every single nest that's on my property. I just haven't found them all. But if I did know where they all were, I would record them all. Okay, now I don't know if I mentioned why we're doing NestWatch, why I do NestWatch, why Cornell put this program together. Essentially it's to help scientists, citizen science, but they actually put in a really good way right on their website. They say, and this is word for what they say, it's designed to track status and trends in the reproductive biology of birds. So essentially they're trying to see where the birds are nesting, you know, what bird populations are nesting in what areas. Oh, I just saw a robin fly out of the tree and he's headed over towards the porch of my Airbnb, which I know there's a nest over there. They seem to use it every year. Sometimes the robins will double nest. So I'm gonna head over there and check that out. So that is why we do NestWatch. And if you have the app, it makes it so much easier to do it. I used to go around with a piece of paper and record it all on that piece of paper. And it looks like, nope, the robin is not up here on the porch and the nest is gone. Well, the winter must have been rough on this one. Yeah, so they're probably building a new nest somewhere. There's one other place I know there's a robin's nest, as long as it's still there from last year. This is my first check on my nest this year, so we will see if it's still there. So if you want to get involved in NestWatch, really simple to do. It's a lot of fun to do. Download the app. They have it for Android, they have it for iPhones. I recommend you go online first. Digging through my bush here. Okay, the nest is still intact, believe it or not. Okay, so, but there's no eggs in it. The robins haven't gotten to it yet. Go to the website. There's so much information. I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's nestwatch.org. NestWatch, all one word, NestWatch.org. They have a lot of information about the protocol. They have a lot of good information on how to do the program, why they do it. You can go through all the data, the past data that people have put in there, or your past data if you've done it before. I've been doing this NestWatch for at least 10 years now, probably a lot longer than that. That's how much fun it is to do, and it really does help science. So I highly recommend it. You do need to be, and don't panic when I say this, certified. Cornell made it really easy for anyone to do the program, yet they also wanted to make sure that the data is accurate and good so that they can use the data. Scientists can use the data. So that's why they stuck a certification in there. It's a matter of going online, you take a test. It's really quick and easy. I don't even remember, it's been so long since I took it, but I think there's like 10 questions, and if you fail it, you take it again. You fail it again, you take it again. You keep taking it until you pass it, because every time you take that test, you're learning. So, and it's mostly about safety of the birds protocol. I do want to mention, if you are going to be doing this, which I do encourage, remember your safety too. Okay, we're concerned about the bird safety, but we also are concerned about your safety. Wash your hands afterwards. I always go in the house after I've done NestWatch because I've been handling these dirty nests. If I have babies in the nest, don't touch the babies, please. Don't touch the babies. I do when they're old enough to almost be fledgling, only because I band them. So I will do bird banding. I'll put bands on the babies, and then I put them back in the nest very carefully. If I can catch the parents, I band them. Although a lot of the parents are already banded because of my summer banding here. So do not touch the birds, please. But if you happen to, maybe a bird fell out of the nest and you put it back in there, just make sure you wash your hands afterwards. Carry some hand sanitizer with you if you want to. If you want to wear rubber gloves when you do this, that's fine. Just be cautious. We're concerned with your health, concerned with the bird's health. So take the quiz, learn as much as you can about safety protocol for you and the birds. We want this to be a great program, but we also want it to be fun for you. Please join NestWatch, become a citizen science, and have a lot of fun. Headed back to the house, so I will say goodbye for now. Don't forget, support the podcast, invite your friends, hit that subscribe button, and if you want to support the Nature Wanderer podcast, future episodes, get better equipment for recording, because the equipment gets old quick, please go to my Patreon page, become a patron. It's as little as $5 a month. You can donate more, or you can even go to my website and buy me a coffee. Yeah, Ko-Fi. I don't drink coffee, so it's actually tea that you're buying. And actually, the money is not to give me tea or coffee. The money goes into the podcast. But there is a link on my website to do that, and on my Facebook page as well. You can also buy Nature Wanderer merchandise, including some awesome t-shirts. Have a great day, and above all, keep exploring nature.